Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to the Big OGGIE Bakehouse. So today we are going to continue with our little group of recipes, if you like, that we collected from the National Trust Gardens. So it's apple inspired. Our apple adventure carries on. Absolutely it does. But today we're doing a savoury recipe with apple. So we are doing braised sausages with apples and leeks. So the ingredients list isn't big, it's a simple recipe. Not tried it before, but hopefully should be a good one. Yeah, we've had various sausage casserole type things, and this is kind of similar. This is similar. So to start off with, you need obviously good quality sausages. Now you can choose whatever sausage you like when you're doing this. We have chosen our local supermarket sausages, but these ones have actually already got added apple in them because we quite like fruity ones anyway. Yeah, go for a pork sausage because obviously pork and apple goes together. Absolutely. I don't think you can get beef sausage anymore. No, but you can. So. But anyway, pork sausages, whatever. Whatever you like, you get, okay? So the first stage of this recipe is to brown the sausages, and that's where I have a bit of a small issue. A lot of people like to fry things and love fried food. I don't. I don't like frying things, and I would much rather put things in the oven, but I don't want to cook these sausages through because I'm going to cook them all the way through when we're ready to eat them. So I'm going to fry them but without any oil, so dry fry, just to put some colour on the outside. I think that's probably what it's about. I don't think it's about frying them completely to finish them, is it? It's more about... Well, I don't know, because the recipe then says to add more oil and da-da-da-da-da. But anyway, so I just want to clear that up. I'm doing this my own way because I don't like to add oil. So I'm going to dry fry my sausages, but then I will follow the recipe from there on in. Yeah, I would say if you just brown the sausages, and then by the time you finish cooking this, they'll be cooked anyway. Absolutely. In the juice or the sauce or whatever. Absolutely. Yeah. So, ingredients wise, you need your sausages to start off with. They're saying 500 grams, but obviously depending on how many people you're trying to feed, you need to work out how many sausages you're going to need for each person. Simple. So that's the first thing. You're going to need some rapeseed oil. Why they've specified rapeseed, I don't know. It just happens that we always have rapeseed oil anyway, so we have it. So you need 2 tablespoons of that. I would say a mild oil as opposed to one that's got a strong flavour. Just like a sunflower oil or something like that would be fine. You need 1 large eating apple, peeled, cored and cut into wedges. Now I've put a little bit of... Thank you, John. I know. Tell you what apple looks like. I've put a little bit of lemon on mine to stop it going brown just while I'm talking to you. You need 50 grams of butter, and I've cut my butter into 2 pieces because you need it in 2 separate parts of the recipe. So that's your butter. Then you need 2 to 3 leeks, obviously like the outer skin taken off, and then cut into chunks. I'm not going to hold a big leek up in front of the camera. No, because I haven't got any leeks anyway, because I've just chopped them up. Okay. So into chunks, please. A large onion, sliced reasonably thinly. Done. Then you need a heaped tablespoon of flour. That's for your sauce thickening. A heaped teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And 340 mils of dry cider. We've got Thatcher's Gold. It's a medium dry, but again, I would say use something that you like. There's no point using stuff in a recipe if you don't like it in the first place, because it's not going to work, is it? It's the same when you have wine in a recipe. Never use rubbish wine. Always use the wine you're going to drink. Absolutely. So, first part of the recipe is to get some colour on these sausages. So I'm going to go and do that, and then I'll come back. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I've now browned my sausages roughly. I mean, we're not really bothered about having them a perfect brown colour all the way over, and because I don't add any oil to it, the skins tend to go quite a lot darker. But that's absolutely fine because it's more about eating with your eyes, I suppose. Yeah, we have zebra sausages. Yeah. I also think that maybe there's cut of apple in them as well. They do kind of They do
brown off
colour
very
up.
quickly.
They do, yeah. So the next thing on the list of things to do, if you like, is we're going to add the oil and half of the butter into our frying pan, and we are going to gently brown and caramelize our apple slices and our leek chunks until they're soft, obviously, and nicely coloured. So that's the next thing.
Do you not put the onions in with that as well?
No.
No? Okay.
No, you don't, John.
Normal standard procedure is, you know...
Well, no, you don't in this.
Burn up your onions and then whack something in it.
No.
Okay.
So,
Trust the national
the
trust.
onions become part of the sauce.
Okay.
So we're not making the sauce yet. We're now putting components together.
We're componenting.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
So oil, half the butter into a frying pan. We're going to fry off our leeks and the apple slices.
Okay.
Okay. Off we go again.
So a mixture of butter and oil, obviously because butter burns but gives you flavour, but oil has a
higher burning temperature.
Right. Yeah.
So into there I'm going to put the leeks. Now, although it says chunks, these leeks are going to break down because they just always do.
Yeah.
So
you start with chunks, but don't worry about if they separate. That's what happens. They're just rings in the end.
And
they go in together, yeah?
They do go in together.
Okay. Again, we're just following the recipe from the National Trust, never doing this ourselves. And sometimes you find the recipes are a little bit lacking in information. Sometimes it just says throw it all together and you think, oh, okay. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm trying to make sure my apple touches the pan. And I'm not pouring it in because I've got lemon juice in here to stop it browning, which I obviously don't want in this recipe.
So did you just use one apple in the end? Because you were thinking about two.
I did just use one apple in the end because actually when I cut it into slices or wedges, there was a fair amount.
Yeah.
And obviously our sausages do have apple in as well, so I think one is probably okay for us.
Okay.
But again, a recipe is just a guide, so it's your own individual taste. If you want to put more than one, or if you've got small apples, put two smaller ones in. But you want something with a decent taste, so something like a Cox's or Braeburn or something like those. Yeah.
Something that stays, hopefully, a little bit more solid as well, because if we were using cooking apples, they would go to complete apple sauce.
And the thing with cooking apples also is the sourness, because you're not going to put anything in this to counteract that. So just, you know, be mindful of what you're putting in. Okay, so as you can see, the apples are starting to colour, and so is the leek. So I'm going to leave this probably for another few minutes. You can see the leeks are falling apart, but the apples are going nice and soft. And then I'm going to transfer this into my casserole dish, and then I'll start on the sauce bit. So, but this is doing nicely and it smells wonderful. Okay, so my apples and leeks are almost done. What the recipe is calling for, or what the recipe suggested, was that you did this in 2 frying pans. So basically you would brown your sausages until they're completely browned, put them aside, then do what I'm doing with the oil and half the butter with your leeks and apple. And then whilst you're doing that with the leeks and apple, in another pan, use the other half of the butter and soften and colour your onions. And then once you've got your onions coloured, then you make your sauce, which is you add your flour, you give it a good stir and cook it out for at least a minute because you don't want any floury tastes. And then you add your mustard and you add your cider. When you add the cider, because you've got basically a roux, if you like, you need to give it a really good bashing because you don't want big lumps of floury sauce. So the recipe in effect cooks the whole thing in a frying pan. And it says once you add the sauce to the main frying pan and the sausages, 15 minutes in that pan and it's done. You could probably do that.
Yeah.
You probably could do that. But as a mum, that doesn't really fit well with my scheduling. So I've browned my sausages and I've put them into my casserole. I'm doing the rest. I'll do exactly what the recipe says, but rather than keep it all in one pan, I'll transfer it all to my casserole, and then I will leave it into the oven at about 180 for say 30 minutes whilst I'm cooking mashed potatoes, because we're going to have mashed potatoes with it. So, and then obviously my mash and my casserole will be ready together at the same time. But obviously you do what you want. Whatever makes you tick, do it.
It's either on the hob 2 pans and then into 1 pan, or it's stick it from the pans into a casserole dish,
and then
put it in the oven.
Oven it. So
as long as the sausages are cooked, it's fine.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to go back because it's almost nearly done. So as you can see, the leeks are all nicely coloured now and they're soft, and the apple have got a nice caramelisation going. So this is going into my casserole dish.
We've also, seeing the apples, been thinking you definitely need them to be fairly thick.
Absolutely, I would say don't cut them any less than the thickness of your thumb. Otherwise they go very soft very quickly.
We just had one little sliver which we put in, which went to mush very quickly.
Absolutely.
So keep everything with a little bit of, almost a little bit of bite to it. Got to have some shape.
So I'm going to turn the pan down a bit, and I'm going to add the rest of my butter now and start doing the onions. So once I put my onions in with the rest of the butter, you need to let them cook until they're very soft and slightly browned, like good old-fashioned fried onions used to be, but probably not too crispy. Then I added my heaped tablespoon of flour. You can use any flour, it really doesn't matter, except probably don't use bread flour, probably. So I just use plain flour, put it in and stir it around, and it absorbs all the butter, and that should be nicely cooked in about a minute. If you leave it for any less than a minute, there's a chance that you're going to have a floury taste to your sauce, which you really don't want. Once you've cooked it for your minute, you add your Dijon mustard, give it a good stir around, and then add your cider. Stir in all the time so that you don't get any lumps, and then you bring it to the boil, and once it's at the boil, you add salt and pepper to taste, and then I added it into my casserole. Obviously, if you're doing it in a frying pan anyway, you will add your sausages back into the sauce, turn it down to a simmer and let them simmer for 15 minutes until they're cooked through. Because I've done mine in a casserole, I'm going to put mine in the oven for 180 degrees for about 30 minutes, and it should all be lovely. So we'll see what it looks like when it comes out. So there we go, that's what it looks like. It smells lovely. I think the thing with casseroles is they never look amazing, do they?
No, they're not the prettiest of things when you finish with them.
But it's all about the taste, so absolutely. Hopefully it'll be delicious. My potatoes are ready for me to mash, so I'm going to leave you all now and feed my family, which is what Big OGGIE Bakehouse is all about, feeding family and friends. Have a good day everyone, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends, come and join us, come and join Big OGGIE Cornwall, and if you like golf, Big OGGIE Golf. See you all again soon. Bye.
See you soon everybody.
Bye.